to minimize their tax burden. Obviously, a lot of jobs are going overseas. A lot of companies are sending jobs overseas. That's a current problem, and I think that's, if not solely, the majority of the reason that's happening is government regulation. High taxes. The U.S. has one of the highest corporate tax rates in the world.
Well, that's where I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to try to increase the economy and give incentives, you need to do it with businesses. And I don't mean multinational, huge, multi-billion-dollar businesses, but mom-and-pop places. Encourage the small businesses. They make up the majority and the heart of the economy in this country.
Those huge multinational corporations started, at least as a small idea.
Generally, yeah.
Somewhere. I mean, yeah, some of them, spun off of a larger business, but everything, probably has roots in a small business. Look at Apple. It started in a garage. Starbucks. Yeah.
One little coffee shop.
Walmart.
Walmart.
Sam
Not familiar.
Walton.
I'm not familiar with Walmart.
It's a small convenience store. They're generally.
I wish them well.
Yeah.
I hope they do well.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll do well or not, but.
Why is that?
It's just too small at this point.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it because they're not getting enough government help?
That might be why.
Their taxes could be too high.
Their taxes might be too high. No, and I know what you're saying, but you can.
No, I agree with you. I'm serious.
Okay. Well, their taxes are too high. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I look at the other thing. Even in my little town, in Michigan, in the United States, Myers is a big, what would you call them? Box stores, Myers sells everything, groceries to screwdrivers and stuff. We gave them a hell of a big tax break in our community to get them to settle here.
Yeah.
Because, they're going to hire people that are hopefully local. They're paying, still a lot of tax into the township, and, we wanted to encourage them to set up shop here. So, I understand that, and that's what we need. We can't keep taxing. Well, I don't like taxes anyways. I understand that certain infrastructures need to be paid for, but on the other hand, private industry also tends to contribute money into infrastructures if they need it. Now, if you have a big multinational corporation and they need roads and the local community isn't going to be able to afford roads, guess who's going to build the roads for them?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so to say that, like Obama's statement, you didn't create this business, we all did. Grain of truth to that. I mean, we do use community services, but on the other hand, if they weren't there, businesses would have built them.
Yeah, and he talked about roads and highways and bridges, and why do you think we decided to build roads and bridges and highways? It wasn't that the roads needed the business.
Well, some would say that it was for national defense.
Well, partially, yeah. Some of the highway system sure was. But who built the roads?
Federal government.
They built it?
Well, they spent money to build them.
Yeah, sure they spent
in the
money
50s and 60s, yeah.
Yes, they did.
So where are you going with this?
Where I'm going with this is businesses use the roads. That's the reason we have roads.
Right. And one of the reasons they made that was for interstate transportation of goods and services and to build the economy. Right. But a lot of that was built by taxpayers' money. So I don't know if that really helps your argument.
No, it was paid for with taxes. That's not my point.
Yeah. Okay. What was your point?
And like you said, we do need some infrastructure. Where do you get that money?
My point was
income
that
tax is the way to do it.
If the business needs it, though, they're gonna pay for it. I mean, there's tons of examples where a business wants to settle somewhere and there's services that are needed. The local governments and that business work together and make it happen, and everybody benefits from that. And some of that money comes from, the corporation, and some of it comes from the local governments and state governments and federal government. So, but still, to say that you didn't build your business, I think is a little crazy. But anyways, we're getting sort of off topic there.
A bit.
Let's go with the unemployment rate. 7.8. new figures? What do you think, Nate?
Just give a hand for President Obama for getting the unemployment rate near where it was when he started.
He did a hell of a job.
Still way, way, way too high.
Yeah.
And
is it true? Is that 4.8 true?
7.8?
7.8. Is that true? Is that a true unemployment rate for this country?
It's a rate.
No,
It's a
not
percentage.
true. How
And-
many
and
people?
you know what? It's 7.8%.
No, the
And-
actual
and
unemployment
so
rate
if
is
you-
closer to 20%.
if
Everybody
you-
knows that.
If you take some numbers and you divide them and you get close to 7.8% and then you round it, then you might get to 7.8%.
No, I don't even believe that, Nate. What I'm saying is
Here's the
that,
deal. We
okay.
created 114,000 jobs last month. That was less than July's numbers. So I don't know how in the hell that caused a 0.3% decrease in the unemployment. What they are banking on, first of all, they use the household employment number, which is basically they call people up and say, hey, are you doing anything at all? And they say yes, they count it as a job. There are 1.1 million fewer jobs to have now than there were at the beginning of the year. And that's why the number has went down.
And less people are looking for jobs.
Less people are looking for jobs. There are way more part-time jobs now.
More part-time jobs that they're calling jobs. Many people that were full-time a year ago are now forced to be part-time because
Yes.
production's down, business is down. The companies say, we'll lay you off or we can go part-time.
Yeah.
Also, there was something about extended working age population. As people get older or younger or whatever, I don't quite understand that. But it was
people
saying
aren't retiring as soon
it
because
said,
they just can't.
with an expanding working age population of 206,000, 63% of those are working. It said you'd have to have 131,000 jobs added to keep the employment rate from falling. So we're at 114,000. You need 131. So again, you're playing with the numbers.
Canada added 52,000 jobs last month, and they have a tenth of the population we have here. So, and they added
It is a tenth, yeah.
They added about half as many jobs. That's pathetic. I saw a number, if we had the same workforce, labor participation rate as we did when Obama took office, the unemployment would be around 11-12%.
Well, look, it says right here, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It says, while total jobs rose to 114,000, people who are classified by the Bureau of Labor Statistics as part-time for economic reasons soared from about 8 million to 8.6 million, or in other words, 581,000 increase. So more people part-time. That does not help an economy grow. They have half the income to purchase goods and services, half the income to do anything.
Or at least part of it. Yeah.
So it's really funny how after the debate, when the issue of unemployment was broached, that a day or two later they come out with this lower number.
Well, look, this was completely expected. I've expected it for, 3 years now, almost. One of the things Obama campaigned on was that unemployment would never be above 8% while he was in office.
Yeah.
And it's never been below
that.
8% until now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's an election coming up fairly soon in about a month. I'm pretty sure that might have something to do with this number coming out. It's pathetic. And you know what's probably going to happen is after the election, it'll get revised back up to where it should be.
Oh, probably, yeah.
But
Depending on who
it'll
wins,
be too late by then.
Right.
Well, I really think either way, that's what happens. I mean, every Thursday, I think the job numbers come out, weekly job numbers, and they get reported on by the media, and then they get revised up almost every time. That's just how it works, and that doesn't get reported.
Really, the drop in full-time employment was $216,000, or 216,000 people, which shows the economy still isn't performing very well.
No, and the unemployment number obviously isn't a good basis for economic growth, just because of the fluctuation in the job market, and we're losing jobs, which is making, the unemployment number go down.
Wasn't there also something about Obama trying to influence the unemployment rate by delaying certain layoffs in certain companies?
Yeah, well, what happened, there was a law passed, basically, that if Congress didn't find a way to cut like $1.5 trillion from the deficit or something by a specific date, then there would have to be a necessary cut. I don't know if it was 500 billion. I don't remember the exact figure, but there was a cut in the military budget, which is absurd. I thought it was absurd when it was passed. Well, obviously they haven't cut $1.5 trillion from the deficit. So Lockheed Martin, a big military supplier,
government contractor, right?
Yes, they see this coming. They know in January that their production is going to ramp down because the military budget will be cut.
Sure.
So they plan on laying people off. Part of this, I think it's the WARN Act, and I don't remember what WARN stands for, but it says these certain size businesses like Lockheed Martin have to give 60 days notice for any mass layoffs.
Right.
Well, that would end up being right before the election in November. That would be the date when they have layoffs planned. They were planning on
making the
announcements. The administration says, no, don't make the announcements. They said, well, it's illegal to not make the announcements, and the administration said, that's okay. You don't have to make the announcements. And in fact, the administration promised to pay any legal fees that come about, because what can happen with this WARN Act, if you're not notified and you get laid off, you can sue the company. The administration promised to settle those suits for them, cover the fees for that.
I'm not real bright, but that doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem right, does it?
It seems like it's manipulating, coercing, I don't know.
Something like that.
All kinds of bad words with the government dilly-dallying into the...
But I mean, hey, what's a few more tax dollars going to, disgruntled employees of a company with contracts with the federal government?
Well, listen, they're going to get when they're laid off, they're going to get government dollars anyways.
Yeah, but they'll get that in addition to the settlements,
the fees and the settlement, and then of course if we're paying legal fees, that is even more money. So,
right.
Well, we're getting close to our half-hour time limit. We didn't get to everything, but we'll have more shows and we'll be able to talk about things in the upcoming shows. So, anything you want to go out with as we wind down here, Nate?
I don't know.
One last thing. Oh, I had a problem that,
we know. We already went over this at the beginning, how you're moderate and you think you're supposed to get older and wiser and stop using logic.
Yeah. I shouldn't have had those martinis before I started the show.
No.
That clouded my memory.
Or at least you should have eaten a few more olives with it.
Memories, I think. Well, anyways, my problem is, I have grandparents that are in Chicago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And they're visit them?
And they're voting for Obama. I don't know how I can change their minds. But they died in 1965, so.
Oh, that is a problem.
Yeah.
You're not going to change their mind.
I don't see how I can do that. Maybe I should.
I know that.
What?
Well, I know it's a joke, but it's kind of sad because
it is sad because that stuff goes on.
It's true.
Not
it's
only
true.
in Chicago, but in a lot of places. So, all right. Well, thanks for listening. Tell your friends, tell your family. We hope that we gave you a couple things to talk about, and maybe you learned a thing or two. So until next time, we want to say thank you very much for listening. This is Brian saying have a great day.
This is Nate. Thanks for listening to At Odds.